Welcome to Inside the Win. We'll break down real world wins, showing you exactly how strategic partnership with our experts empowers you to tackle your most ambitious opportunities with confidence. Let's jump in.
Hi, everyone. My name's Chad Muckenfuss, Vice President of Cloud here at Telarus. And with me today for an Inside the Win is Jason Kaufman, our Principal Architect. Today, we're going to go over one of the things that's happening more and more often, which is VMware migration. And we're leveraging one of the wins that we've had with Expedia, one of the premier VMware licensees. And what we want to do is go over what this looked like from top to bottom. And Jason's going to talk us through that. So, Jason, welcome today. And why don't you give an overview of what happened here?
Yeah, thanks, Chad. Appreciate the invite. What it was, we had a customer with about 130 VMs, so it's sizable, but also not sizable enough to where Broadcom actually cares about you. So we had that problem to where we had to do something. We had to do something fast. They knew about that time frame where October was coming up pretty fast, and they needed a minimally invasive way in order to be supported. And their current infrastructure was not supported on the legacy Broadcom stack. They were ultimately going to get kicked out of the door, and things are happening worse. And they had a lot of highly compliant data that they needed to make sure that it was protected and also that the infrastructure was supported. So they came to us. Luckily, we were brought in on the engineering side to help out. And what happened was Expedient was a perfect fit because the customer had three main objectives. One, minimally invasive. So they wanted to do things and kind of extend the time frame that they had. They also needed to make sure that their DR was stood up and effective, tested, and everything was fine and dandy. And then they also started hinting at they had some AI initiatives, which will lead to more scalable opportunity with Expedient. But the initial request was, let's make sure that we extend that runway. We had a way to do that with the Expedient through bridge licenses to where they said, hey, we're going to give them a lease back on their hardware, put it under our infrastructure technically, make Broadcom happy, but also make sure the customer didn't have to flip a switch and put all this highly compliant data to where they didn't want it to go immediately, and give them a solution that allowed them to scale effectively. So Expedient leveraged two different scenarios. One, that bridge licenses in order to leverage the current infrastructure the customer had. It wasn't the hardware that was EOL, it was the software that it was running on required by Broadcom. So we were able to leverage that. We also used Expedient Private Cloud, which is scalable solution based on VCF 9. Upgraded the on-premise hardware using VCF 9 new software package. Make everything supported and integrated. Allowed them to have one-click DR, leveraging the cohesive with Expedient. And effectively, we just gave them that. You could see the customer that had their shoulders up, didn't know what they were going to do. They started relaxing as we were talking them through this entire process. And then Expedient came in and confirmed that it was something that they could easily handle and have done before. So it's always good to see that scenario where the customer starts relaxing because you're solving that main problem that they thought was a priority one, that we're going to have to flip a switch and we're going to have downtime and my job's going to be on the line. That's not the case. So it was one of those moments where when everything clicked and they saw everything that we could do and the flexibility that Expedia brings to the table, it was a big home run. And then the on-target capabilities of upselling into the AI gateway after the fact to hit them where they wanted to go strategically, not only where they had to be today, but where they wanted to go after the fact. Everybody was happy. Customer, partner, obviously Expedia had a very nice win. What was the total on that one? Like 750K TCV?
Yeah, exactly. It was total contract value was about $750,000, and it included, to your point, the solution was a multi-tenant cloud. It included the backup and DR, and it ultimately is moving into the AI offering that Expedient has that's really unique in the marketplace as well. And one of the key things too that I just wanted to touch on is because this customer specifically was in the financial space, they had a lot of regulatory in and around not only the information that they were looking to back up and transition and make all this move, but also the network aspect things too. So the nice thing about Expedient is that they were able to leverage the customer's existing SD-WAN and help them, make that transition as you just outlined so eloquently, Jason, is that it was a super easy move. It was kind of that easy button for everything. And again, you mentioned it too, but you could see the sigh of relief with the customer, checked all the boxes for the regulatory and the financial area, made the transition super easy, and was able to continue to maintain day-to-day operations without having to pull the plug and plug in a new solution and cross your fingers that it worked really well. So it was a great win across the board, not only for the customer, but also for the TA. And I think, you know, that $750,000 total contract value is just going to continue to grow. Any other last thoughts?
The only thing I want to mention is, yeah, it seems sizable. 130 VMs, like, a lot of partners are like, I don't run into that type of opportunity a lot with customers. But I mean, look at the size and the impact. Broadcom, like, that's not even a phase on the Broadcom worried, sector. Like, they're like, oh, you're gone, you're toast. Go find a VCF9 partner, and they ultimately don't care about that customer size. So they're out there, and we see partners that legacy stay in the micro SMB space find these customers because they're freaking out trying to figure out, where do we go? What do we do? Because of that necessary impact that's coming, that they don't have an avenue or an answer to it. So it makes it an easy path in order to say, hey, we don't have to do this all or nothing flip. You don't have to go find another, technology solution. You can still have something that is highly impactful, minimally invasive, and we could do that with multiple partners. And Expedient is a home run there. So ultimately, it was one of those win-win-win situations that we love talking about, because we love seeing the partners' faces after saying, "Hey, that's no problem, we got this," and they start saying, "Oh, okay, that's not the answer I fully expected here. We expected something that would be much more painful as a process when ultimately it came down to it."
No, that's great. I really appreciate you joining me today for an Inside the Win, and we'll talk again, I'm sure, in the very near future for one of the next ones in the cloud side of things here. So thank you, and thanks all of you for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.